continuing with all your support, encouragement, and we will try to continue as much as I know. I will try to share and let us understand ourselves, our system, our tradition, our. So we'll be taking up text after this because unless we know the basic structure of the language, it will not be easy to read the text. That is what first thing is to know how to read the text. To understand the word structure only help us to get the meaning of the words. So that will be our main objective is to make everybody to read themselves so that we can understand the meaning of the text. Uh, so we'll the particular related. दिख रही है?
Namaste, sir.
Yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
So, good morning, Suprabhatam, and Suswagatam to all of you. Let us start with our prayer. So, let us recite what Tasmai Paninai Namaha. Yena Charam Samam Nayam. Please.
Sharasamam Nayam.
See the Yena here. Yena means Tritiya. By whom? Yena, Kena, Tena. Yena Akshara Samam Nayam. Adhikamya Maheshwara.
अधिगम्य महेश्वरात्
कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तम्
Krishnam Vyakaranam Proktam.
तस्मै पाणिनये नमः.
तस्मै प्राणिनये नमः.
So this is all our salutation. Next is we have the Shiva Sutras, which is the very basic of the grammar. This is, please read out. Ayun,
Ayun,
Riluk,
Riluk,
Eon,
Eun,
Ayouch,
Ayouch,
Hayavarat,
Hayavarat,
Learn,
Learn,
Yamananam,
यमणान
Yamangana,
Jhabaya,
Jhabhai,
जभय
Ghadadhas,
Adhadash,
Jabagadadas,
Jabagadash,
गणधर
Kapha Chatha Chatatam,
Kapha Chatata,
Kapai,
कपय
Sasasar Hal.
सर हल
Iti Maheswarani Sutrani
इति माहेश्वराणि सूत्राणि
Anadi Sangyarthani.
अनादि संज्ञार्थानि.
So these are the Maheshwara Sutras which are taught by Panini and has made the rules on the basis of this, what you call, he has prepared the code based on the Shiva Sutras, which is our main focus is that how he developed the code system. Okay, so we'll go to the next. So today we are going to start with the, what you call this, verb morphology. So what is verb morphology? Exactly, as we did with noun morphology, the structure of nouns, the formation of noun forms, what we call pratipadikas, according in Paninian terminology, pratipadika. Pratipadika means all the nominal stems, whether it is simple or derived. So we had Ramaha, we had Dasarathi. So these words which are used in the language are one related to the other. One is derived from the other. This shows that language is a self-developed system. So grammar is only the role or the soul of language which tells about the structure of the language. So that is why Panini has given that whatever words or pratipadikas we use, so they are all generated or derived from their base. So there is a base from which we derive the new forms, or what this is called the word formation, what is called in linguistics, how the words are formed. They are not borrowed. Words are formed means they are formed within, from one base to the other. So this formation, word formation, what is taught in linguistics is that we got it that Panini's rules only tells that how words are formed from one to the other. So you see, noun becomes noun, verb becomes noun, noun plus noun becomes noun. These are the three categories of derived nouns which are used in the language. So we have simple noun
This call is now
and
being
three
recorded.
derived nouns. They form the subject, the karta of any sentence we use. So this is the structure that it is fixed in. These are the fixed nouns, fixed types of nouns, that is simple and derived. The same thing if we are going to the other major part is the verb morphology also talks about again same inflectional and derivational. Let us go to that verbal suffix, what we have actually. Now look at this. No, you have to go to dhatus. We have to go to that select. Now, I think in the beginning we had given you the 90 forms. Can you please just do little back, Deepa? We had given this 90 forms. The
Yes,
10
sir.
lakaras, the forms are there. Just look at that. No, the big earlier, all the 90 forms. 90 forms we had shown. There we had given that how these verbal forms.
Just a minute.
Yeah. Yes, that thing. Yes. Thing. So this suffix, the verbal, so as the noun, we have inflectional and derivational suffixes. The same is also with the verbs. We have inflectional and derivational suffixes. Now, what is again inflectional here? So, Panini has given us two sets of inflectional suffixes. One set is for nouns, that is Pratipadika, which we take sup. So, Pratipadika, sup, subanta, is called the nominal endings, final endings, which makes the noun formation. And verb takes the thing. So thing comes with dhatu. So dhatu sutra is there, 3193, where you have the thing pratyayas are used after dhatu. So there are two domains. For pratipadika domain, you get sup pratyayas. For dhatus, you get thing. Dhatoho thing. So 3193 will say dhatoho. Now what are these things? So the thing suffixes. If you thing means beginning with t, ending with one. T plus g. So there are in this we have two sets of suffixes. So it is a speciality of Sanskrit. What is that? The suffix verbal suffixes, the inflectional suffixes, the thing pratyayas are used in two sets. Why? So this, because the verbal suffixes when they are used, the purpose is to indicate the pratyate anena. What is pratyate? What is indicated? The meaning of this sentence here. This pratyaya is not just a meaning of a word, it is a meaning of a sentence. What kind of sentence? So our sentence is explained in terms of this pratyaya only. When you use one suffix ti, what does it mean? Ti here represents you. So ti means just like we have bhavati or gacchati. Ti means we have third person. It is singular. Saha gacchati. No, ti means only saha. That is he. These suffixes have been distinctively given so that the person and numbers, that's why you get the 9, 3 into 3 in 9 into 2, 18. So out of 18, first 9 represents one set that is called Parasmay Pada. And the second set is called Atmanapada. So two sets put together, we got thing. So thing represents two sets of verbal endings which are known as Parasmay and Atmanapada. Why you need two sets? Now in language, any sentence we use, How do you know this is a sentence or not? Whether a sentence and a word, we make difference. Sentence is only generally which has a verb. Now, what is this verb? Verb means only go. Will it make a sentence? Or going? When you say only is going, going only represents a sentence. By adding ing, we believe that it makes a sentence complete. He is going. Is going, are going. In English, they are putting is going, are going. But this is, are is not very much essential for Indian languages. We are using directly with the suffix. So, ti means is going. He is going. Ti represents is going. So what we are getting is one suffix gives you first person. Ti is first person. It is singular. It is also present. Gachati means going. Pathati means reading. He is reading. And one more thing, what is more is there? It is also active. Active in sense, we call it kartari. Kartari means in the sense of karta. It is also karta. When you say he is going, so from gachati, we know a person is going or karta is going. Who is karta? Because he is the agent who is doing this action. So ti represents four meanings: person, number, tense, and this agent. Is it clear? All the meanings in a pratyaya, in a verbal ending, that is ti, gives us four meanings: person, number, tense, and agent. So always whenever sentence is used, what is most important is there must be an agent. Without agent, can you have a sentence? Generally not. On special cases, on exceptional cases, it may be, but in general, a sentence begins with, that is we call a sentence which has an agent and a verb, which is a karta kriya. Without karta, can we have a sentence? Without kriya, can you have a sentence? So what is said NP, BP or noun and verb is represented semantically. Our semantic is important, karta and kriya. Now whose meaning it is? Is it the meaning of a word, karta? Without karta, we cannot use the sentence. But then who is the karta here? So this notion of agent is important for Indian tradition. You cannot speak unless you know who is the agent. So first agent is important. Then you decide whether he is first person, second person, or third person. And accordingly, the verb is used. Whether it is gachati or gachasi or gachami. If it is he, you say ti or saha gachati, tvam gachasi, aham gachami. It is the verbal ending that makes the difference in the sentence. The sentence meaning, particularly the grammatical aspect, that is person number, is marked by the suffix itself, not by any order or any auxiliary as it is in English. Is going, are going, am going. We use only suffix to express this grammatical meaning. This is grammatical because this is not the meaning of a word. Person, number, and adjective or tense, they are not meaning of the word. Even they are not the meaning of the root. These are the meanings of only sentence. So that is syntactic meaning for us is important. So basically the tip suffix has been divided into 3 9. So you get only two meaning, no, person and number. But how do you get here tense? How do you get here adjectivehood? That is a thing. How to describe. The same suffix gives you 4 meaning. You said it is 2 person and number. That makes the difference. 3 person into 3 numbers. So you get 9. So 3 meanings or 2 meanings only person number is important. Is expressed by the suffix the. But we have also tense and adject, which are also part of the meaning of the tip or these suffixes. How they are to be explained. They are understood, they are used in the language in these 4 meanings, but we use only one suffix. How to account for it? What method we can follow? How to justify that this suffix gives you 4 meanings, even though they are basically 2 meanings only, person and number. That is why. So the question remains, how you fix into 18, you divide into 9. Again, in 9, we get only 2 meanings each, person and number, whereas we get 4 meanings from each suffix. So these are the 2 sets, as it is active and passive, as we know. So it is karta and karma. We'll come to see this, which are the meanings of sentences, not of any word. So they are the more syntactic meaning than the word meaning or lexical meaning. Now these suffixes, which are set, thing, so it is a pratyahara again, like ik, ana, jana. With sounds we had pratyaharas, with the soup we had pratyahara, soup pratyaya. Similarly, thing also, another pratyahara he has used by the same rule, adirantena sahita. We get 18 verbal suffixes or verbal endings. But these endings are used in 2 meanings, that is syntactical, active and passive. So, kartari and karmani. Why 2 suffixes? So, here itself, the suffixes tell us there are 2, a sentence can have 2 aspects, either active or passive. So that means language makes use of 2 types of sentences, or say one sentence in 2 ways. That's why there is a difference whether active and passive are same or different. It is only difference in the formation, but the meaning remains same. So whether you say Ram is eating rice or rice is eaten by Ram, whether they are 1 sentence or 2 sentences, so that will come when you come to case grammar, we'll see that how makes the difference. But here itself, the grammarian Panini has told you that a sentence cannot begin, cannot be used without these 2 suffixes or the endings, without indicating adjectivehood or object. So the concept of adjunct and object, which is used in English grammar or linguistics. So originally, we have it very much in Panini's rules, where he has first established that when you use these suffixes, not just per person and number, when do you use person and number? Anytime you need, or there is a specific function or the usage of it. So let us see when these suffixes, so when suffixes mean they are bound morphemes. So bound morphemes are always bound with the free morpheme. Now, what is the free morpheme with which these suffixes are used? So that is why this Adhikara Sutra comes 3192. Yes, dhatoho. 3192 says after dhatu only these suffixes are used. Ting suffixes are used. Dhatoho ting. So the Adhikara sup pratipadhikat sup. After pratipadika you get sup. After dhatu we get ting. So the place is fixed. First, suffixes are designed and explained that these are the categories of meanings that is required, that is used with the verb, the verbal root. So root only takes this. So these are the verbal inflectional suffixes. So inflectional because these are the endings. Endings means after that we cannot use any suffix. So inflectional suffixes are called word finals. So sup for the noun and ting for the verb. So these are the inflectional suffixes which are used. These are called the verbal inflectional suffixes. And when they are used? After the dhatu. Dhatu means the verbal roots. Next. So we have around 2000 roots. Next, please. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, just. So what are these suffixes? How they are used? Now look at this. As I told you, this suffix, we are taking one suffix if you take the. Now we have 90 forms. Why 90 forms? We find them, they are used in 10 different groups, each having 9, because 9 is fixed for the sentence structures or sentence formations, because we have 3 persons, 3 agents in 3 numbers, we get 9, not more than that or less than that. It is fixed. So there are only 3 types of speakers, 3 speakers, not many. Grammatically, sentences are used by 3 people only, 3 persons, first person, second person, third person. And when they use, so whenever sentences are used, the sentences represent the time, whether he is going or he went or he will go. 3 times we get 3 tenses in our languages, including English. But in Sanskrit, we have something more. Why Sanskrit something more? We will see, and I will explain that. What is more important is the objective of language is asandehartham, unambiguity. And laghu means the shortest way. How best way we can master the language. It should be unambiguous and it should be very short. But still we get here 10, we get 90 forms. How can you say it is short? How can you say it is unambiguous? How to make a rule? Is there any rule or just it is used by Panini? So if you look at these forms which are used in 90 forms, what is the basis behind it? What is the reason? How you can account for it? Are they grammatically explainable? Is there any rule or they have choice? And it is for 2000 roots. 2000 roots, take 90 form each in active and 90 forms in passive. Just imagine the number of verbal suffixes, the verbal forms we are using. It is used in Sanskrit language, in all the literature, all the subjects. So how it is possible to make a rule? You have infinite set, infinite. Because it is not only 180, active and passive. The same root also can form another root also, as I derived when we will come, I will explain that. Suppose you have this is for the basic, the present, the tenses. But sometimes the verbs are also derived to give another meaning. Say, I think everybody knows very common word is jigyasa. Jigyasa is a very common word. Everybody knows. What is jigyasa? This is
Curiosity.
gyantum icha. Desire to know. Right? So when you say desire to know, how do you understand this? How it is in English? Suppose in our languages, we are using the word jigyasa. Jigyasa is a nominal form from the verb gya dhatu. Gya to know, na? So gya to know, desire to know becomes jigyasa. So what has happened here? The dhatu is reduplicated. The reduplication is a special feature of Sanskrit language, not in all language, very rare, because we have very strict, we'll see in perfect also. So jigyasa means gyatum icha, or desire to know. So to know, the dhatu is gya. Now what has happened is, so gya has become jigya in the context of, so what is the meaning we are getting? Desire. So desire. When there is a meaning of desire, the same verb undergo change and the suffix indicates. So that's why jigyasate. He desires. So the jigyasa becomes another verbal form with which you can add again ti or te. We get jigyasate, then you will get another 180 forms. 180 only in active and passive. If you are making desiderative, same suffix is used with the change of the verbal form, jigyasa. See the number of forms that is generated, understood by the people. How people use this language? They have used desideratives. They have used also frequently, you can say also, is going again and again, frequently. We get another, we say, jangamyate. Going again and again, papachyate, papachyate, cooking again and again. So there is also repetition. Every meaning of this sent function or the action of the verb is indicated through the suffix. Same thing is used with other derived roots also. We call sananta. San suffix is at ichartha vyoshan sutra. I will be showing you that when ichartha comes also, you add one suffix, then it becomes a root. Again you add ti, jigyasate. So sa comes, there is a san pratyaya used for icha. So now look at this, the infinitive just the forms that we have. But we do not know what we know. So what do we know? Infinitive forms. There are, but still we are not sure how it is used. How to make a rule? People do not speak without a rule. There is mind never will work or allow you to speak anything without a rule. Our knowledge system cannot exist, cannot be explained without a rule. So rule is the only our knowledge. Unless there is a rule, you cannot communicate anything. In any subject, in any science. So there is a behavior, this is a natural rule. Rule is the very much essential for everything that we know. So our knowledge is not just learning the words from the dictionary. Our knowledge is to generate from which one word we can create more forms. So there is a system inbuilt. That system, how to understand that system? So Panini only gives a system, a model, how infinitive verbal forms in Sanskrit can be explained with one word. Let us see that how these forms are first. Let us bring them down to particular. That's why we have the 10 divisions here, 10, because the time that is used. What is tense? We generally understand time, but for Panini, what is time? So look at this to explain. Time is very vast, but it has been controlled or explained or used in the sentences only in 10 different ways. How do you know? It is the suffixes. Though we have 9 suffixes, they have been used 10 times each to distinguish the time division, present, past, future. So here they come. Why you need 10? Why 10 in Sanskrit? The first objective, it should be unambiguous. What is unambiguous? Like if we use, we know English, no? We are saying, he did the work. Or say he visited. When? Just now? Yesterday? Or some before, before we are born also. Gandhi was the father. Gandhi was. What is the proof? Only we hear, we have not seen, no. If you understand the structure of the language, we are using sometimes very straight, saying did, he was. But when? Today, yesterday, or some long time back. Sanskrit makes the division of time. The past, you see what you saw today morning, what you saw yesterday, what you did not know, never seen. So Rama was the king of Ayodhya. Who saw this? We are only telling, no? But he was there, no? Is it the same was? So difference in meaning is important for the language. Speakers try to distinguish meanings. They have distinguished past into 3 in Sanskrit language. That's why past is 3 in Sanskrit. 3 past. 2 futures. What is 2 futures? So we have Grahita. Grahita means what? Grahita means one who is going to accept. Who is going to accept. Grahishyati, who will take in future, in that sense. Even today he can accept. But when you say Grahita, not today. A Grahita, one who can take in future, actual future which is very distant. When son is born, he becomes the future ruler, or that's all we get, no. He is going to become inheritance through inheritance. So future is assured for him. So there is a assured future, the future, distant future. And future, what is going to happen today evening or tomorrow morning. So there is a difference in the tense, in the timing. Bhavishyati, it will have now or tomorrow. But when you say bhabita, means it is going to happen anytime. Grahita, he is going to be a owner in a later period, anytime, not necessarily today or tomorrow. So future is also distinguished as in the recent as well as very much remote in future. Oh, battery is low. Why? Switch the eye. Okay, sorry. Why numbers? It is the division of time. Tense. What do we know? Tense. For us, it is time. So you get 3 past, 2 future, 5. Present is 1, 6. Then what the rest? So we know in English the tense, moods, and aspects. Can we have Sanskrit language without these things? Do you think only English has today? We did not have it also. So all these aspects has been accommodated. Same verbal suffix expresses all these tense, moods, and aspects. So it includes everything which becomes 10. You have this imperative mood. You have potential mood. Potential you can take. Then conditional mood. right? So you have three moods. Then you have ling. It is aspect also. We have this ling. There are two types that will be I will be explaining you. So this is what you see. Why 10? We are finishing with the three: singular, plural, and past, present, and future. So it becomes simple for us to speak in our languages, modern languages, including English. But when for Sanskrit comes, it is not worried whether you learn it or not, whether you use it or not. But men communicate. If his communication is unambiguous, so it should be distinct. The meanings are classified. The times are divided. So times is the first factor in understanding any communication. Time and space makes any change that we get in the language. The important is the time and place. So time is the most important factor in using the verbs. So it is only attached to the verb action because time is the only property of suffix, not of the root. That's why whether root has the meaning or not, it is also, there is a big book written by Kondavatta, Bhushanasara is there to understand what is the meaning of root and what is the meaning of suffix. Are they same or different? So more further discussions are there. So when you say root and suffix, the suffixes carry these meanings, the division of time and division of actions, everything. It is that divisions of, that is what we sought in English. We know tense, moods, and aspects have been covered in these 10 divisions. Now, how you make these 10 divisions? How do you describe it? It is not mere giving classification. He is also going to define it, describe it also. What is 1, what is 2, what is 3? Look at this. The forms which are given, if you see the first, second column, what do you get? How you divide the time? Panini has not said this is time or a mood or aspect. He has simply divided and classified them symbolically, technically, without using Sanskrit word. See the code. Lat, lit. In all the 10, what do you get? How do you distinguish? How you are going to classify? How do you understand them? 90 forms, 180 forms into 2000 roots, all are controlled. Explained only with these 10. When you say 10, it should be 1, 2, 3, 4. No. But he has not used 1, 2, 3, 4. Then how he has used? How do you understand them? Earlier there was no 1, 2, 3, 4, no. So how division was made? We used to write in our languages, ka, ka, ga, ga. Or give the answer for this ABCD we are doing in English, no. When there is a number, the same alphabets are used as a number. Ka, ka, ga, ga means 1, 2, 3, 4. No, instead of 1, 2, 3. So if you have 1 and further divisions, you say 1 ka, like that. So alphabets also were used to number. The Pandit does not use the number, he has used the alphabet. Look at the first one is lot. So there is lot, O. O is the middle vowel. Vowel is important. The next is E, lit. The middle vowels represent the division of lakara. So la is the common. Look at these 10 forms. La is common. He has not used any Sanskrit word here. It is not used in Sanskrit. It is only used by Panini to make the rule. Lat. So you see this O, E, U, Ru, A, O, the order. We are having now Ayuru rule of chaos. Up to O, we have one set, ending with T. So within this 10, he has made two groups, one ending with a T, lut, lit, lut, rut, let, lot, lung. Sorry, lot. And the second group, another 4, it is ending with the one, lung. Same vowel, o, e, u rule, but one. So can you believe, can you imagine what he is doing here? The words he has used, lot lit, the way he has used, o, e, u, rulu, order you look at this, divisions. And further again, endings are different, tit, t, and wa. So what does it mean? He is not using Sanskrit language. He is using certain terms technically used for division of times. How he shows the division of time. He is not saying T1, T2, T3. Now you can use. But for Panini it is not T. The time is only English word. For him it is the only common is la. La represents the time. That's why it's called lakara. Why lakara? The lakara sabda. So la stands for time. So you can say L1, L2, but if you use in linguistics, L1 will go to language. But for Panini, in Sanskrit, for Panini, la means time. T. So what is law means? Why is used law? Why no other word, sound? This is something technical. That is what this is technical. That is why it is linguistic. He is not talking of language now. He is talking of language that mind understands. He gives a name, gives a form. Law. This law is the only key word used to explain all the infinitive forms, verbal forms in Sanskrit. In all tenses, in all 2000 roots, only law is going to explain everything. There is a sutra coming, Lasya, I will show you. So one way you just see, they have something common, that is law. They are divided by the vowels, o, e, u, ru, in that order, in two groups, t and wa. That's why you can say, so it is used by tradition. Tit lakara. Tit means 6 are with takara lopa, it, tit. Okay, so tit lakara and another is git lakara. So lakaras are divided into two based on their, again, anubandhas or the tagging tit, takara, it, takara, lopa. It is only indicated for division between tit and git. So there are two divisions. So tit lakara and git lakara. Though there are 10 lakaras, because law is common, that's why lakara. But they are again in two divisions, tit and git lakara. Panni doesn't say it. It is only commentators trying to explain you. So I am just telling that how it is explained. So first, la represents the time. So it is sometimes it is said it is the short form of kala. Kala means time for us, Indian word, kala. Maybe a short form, we do not know. La represents time in general. Kala in Sanskrit. And it is divided by adding vowels, o, e, u, ru. That gives the division of time. And jit and git are again put to two because they will represent the formational changes. The changes in the form only will be indicated through tit and git. Tagging. Because of these endings, you will get different in forms. So the formal difference is also there. Semantic coherence is there. And divisional, that is again formative issue. How do we make? Or you rule is to divide the time. Classification is important. Unless you classify time, what is happening where, how do you know? So everything that is communicated is very time bound. And it is the division of time only makes sense. He is going, or he was going, or he has gone, or he will be going. Any sentence is multiplied only in terms of time. But this time is captured with one word, that is la, and the divisions are made with vowels added in order, or urulu. And the formal differences are to be noticed. That is what to be done through this ite, that is tit or git. Ta and wo are added for the formal difference. So itself here is the mechanism to tell you that all the verb forms you are using in the sense of time, tense, and these tenses are used 10 divisions or 10 ways, including moods and aspects, but the form changes. So there is a change in the forms according to the tense. So tense difference, how do you know? The formal difference will be the change in the forms. The change in the forms is indicated by the tagging, that is ter and the wa indicates that the formal differences are also there. It is not that they tag the same form. Same suffix undergo change. One suffix t, you will find it undergo change 10 times or 2 times. In tit, one type. In git, you will get another. Example, just bhavati. If it tit lakara, if it in git lakara, you get abhavat. Iti, ikara lopa. So you get 2 ways. All the tit lakaras you will find the e is there in the suffix. In the git lakara, the e is lopa. So you got abhavat, abhut, all these 4 git lakaras, you will not get the e. It is not there. So there comes the niyama, the rule to show that. So that is why you need the divisions to show that where e remains, where also e goes. So pratyas undergo change, lopa, agama, and vikara. So there is a lopa. So that indicates. So like that, there are different changes between the lakaras, the forms, only in the forms. So that is why you see this. This is only the table that tells you everything. Is showing that one root is used, one suffix in one person, in one number, but that represents or that is used 10 times to represent the or communicate the 10 different meanings of the sentence. Past, present, future, etc., etc. So these are the meaning that is maximum you can get in a sentence. There is no sentence beyond these meanings as far as Sanskrit is concerned. And when these 10 meanings are there, how do you get from the same? So you will see. So whenever suffix is used, the root undergo change or the suffix undergo change. The change takes place where? In both the places. In bhu, you get bhavati. If it is going to lung, you get abhut. So bhu remains as it is. So change takes place within the root or in the suffix. So that only rules can tell you how many rules you need, how many changes are there. So we need first rule where these suffixes are used. Where? So one we get dhatoho. Next, please, can you Deepa. Dhatoho, all the suffix. So there is another thing what is remaining. Just look at this. Even the suffix is one, ti, so we have 2000 roots. Whether 2000 roots are all same, they are used in 10 division of time in Dasalakara. But the 2000 roots are not, the form is same. If you see it, Bhavati, Atti, Juhoti, so what is happening? Ti remains same. But with a different root, the form changes again. So that means the 2000 roots are not same. Their form changes according to the, what do you call this? We call Gana. Gana means class. So 2000 roots have been classified into 10 classes. 2000 roots have been classified into 10 classes. 10 lakara is common to all. All these, but the verbal roots are classified into 10. Why? Because their formation change, the form changes. They take different suffix again to show the classifications, to show the ganas or difference. What he has done, see, look at this, bhuadi. Bhuadi means, again, eko janachi, bhu plus adi. So all the ganas are used with adi. Adi indicates a group beginning with bhu, bhuadi. Okay. Similarly, adadi means ad, etc. So each group is headed by one word that is used in the sutra by adding adi. Adi means etc. Here it is not beginning. Bhu adi means starting with you can that say bhu adi means bhu etc. That means the roots which are classed or grouped under bhu are called bhuadis. They take one form. See, in bhavati you have a o, bhu ati bhavati. Whereas in adadi there is no o, atti. Both have been joined together. Ad plus ti, it has become atti. In juhotyadi you have juhoti, is offering oblation. Here it means same meaning, present tense, singular, but here the form, the verbal root has changed, juhoti. Actually, hu dhatu to offer oblation. Here it is reduplicated. Juhoti means offering oblation. Present tense, singular, third person, same structure, but only verbal root undergo change. There is another, so in between there is a suffix added. I will be showing that. Dibyati, dibdhatu, dibadi. So you get these are the forms you get with 10 groups, which indicates. Now how these 10 groups are distinguished? So between root and suffix, you get one more suffix. Can you please show this next table, please? Vadibhya sap. Now, before this, there is, Dasagana, that sutras are there. Vadi, adadi, tadadi. One more table is there. Next. Yes, look at this. Vadi, you get Kartari Shap 3168 tells you that Vadi, all the roots coming under Bhu, that takes Sap Agama. Sap means Sa goes, Po goes, we'll see Halantyam Sutra. And you get O, so you get Bhu, Oti, Bhavati. Here O is used. But this, see the meaning here is whenever this Agama, this is called an Agama. What do we mean? This infixes. Between root and suffix, sometimes we use another suffix. This is called infix. And this Agama, we call it Agama, not Adesha. So, sap is a agama for bhuadi. In the meaning kartari, in the sense of agent. Look at this. If you look at this, kartari, important. Kartari means in the sense of agent. When you say gachati, it is agentive, active. If you say gamyate, it is passive. You look at this. Yak pratyaya is given karmani. Yak is coming in the sense of karmani. So gachati gamyate, pathati pathyate. Te represents karma, passive. So ti and te are used for active and passive. This is clearly stated in this rule. And all the roots are used active and passives. Now the distinction is so or made by adding this agama sap in the first sutra, we saw the bhuadi kartari sap. Now all other agamas, syan, etc., are only substitute for sap because they are used in the same sense kartari. Look at this. Dibal Dibhyashan, you get Dibhyati, the form I had shown you in the next table. Dibhyati means he is playing. Now you get Syan, Dibhyati. But they represent Kartari. In the place of Sop, only Syan is coming to distinguish the class, not the meaning. Here you get Bhavati, here you get Dibhyati. Ya is coming, which indicates it is Dib class. It is only a class difference, not in the meaning. Same sense continues kartari, sap. The sap is replaced by shan in this group because the forms are used like dibhyati. If you take swadi, you get sunoti, similarly shnu. So these are the classes which are distinguished by their class marker. We say it is agama, shap. It comes in between root and suffix bhu and ti, or comes in between bhavati to become bhavati. So this sap, syan, snu, shaha, snam, etc., mark only the class difference, the formal differences. In present itself, in all tenses. These are the formal differences of the 10 ganas. So that's why 10 ganas. Only formal difference, no meaning. Same present, same kartari. So this is also to be seen that when you get 2000 roots, you will get only difference in forms. The infixes or the what you call these agamas in between. The root and suffix, man suffix, you get this infixes agamas. It is specific in the Sanskrit language only. Okay, so next. So this is what Dasa Ganas. Whereas come to this, these are the 10 ganas I have given you. You will be sending. See the sutras, all tanadi, u. So you get tanoti, kriyadi, krinati, adi, you get again ati, juhotyadi, you get juhotya I have given. Then churadi, you get chorayati. The verbal forms the next table is giving, and with the meanings. Here you only given the what are these agamas. The verbal roots are classified. How do you know? Because for each class, we get these agamas. Now, here we come to this. This is what we see. Now, when we take one suffix, ti, if we understand one suffix, all other 9 suffix is equally, the same way it is used, except some morphophonemic changes. Some sandhi rules will be applied. Now, when you use ti, how it is used, how many forms it takes. First person, singular. We are taking only ti. First person, only singular. One suffix. It is used in 10 lakaras, no? The division of time is shown. Semantically, there are 10 aspects. But we are using only one form. One suffix is ti is given third person singular. But how can we explain all these time divisions within the same suffix? So root is there, the main inflectional suffix ti is there, but in between, how you are going to see 10 divisions or 10 times it is to be used. So 10 lakaras represent 10 division of times. If we want to convey this, so the form, so root and the suffix, they only undergo change. So there is a change, vikara. Same bhu dhatu, same root dhatu with ti suffix, they undergo change. Either ti undergo change or bhu undergo change. These changes between the prakriti and pratyaya. makes the forms easier to understand that where do you get the change, what type of change. If you see the first one, again, I have given a root is, again, bhudhatu. So what is common with the first person? What is the thing in the present tense? Lat. It is present. So the sutra is Vartamane Lat. Lat, he has not simply used the word Lat, but also he has given a definition, Lakshana, Vartamane Lat. In the present tense, in the sense of present. That speaks the time division. It is not mere in words or meaning. He has given the formula, the sutras, to explain what is Lat, Vartamane Lat. Vartamane Artha. It is in Saptami again. Look at this. Whenever there is Saptam Vibhakti is used, indicates meaning. Vartamane, Vartamana Arthe. In the sense of present. Lot Lakara is used. People have used. But he is coming down to show you what is the finite set. What is the finite rules? Why so many? What is the basis of it? Is it arbitrary? Can human brain can speak anything arbitrary? Anything illogical? He has explained what people have used. He has to make his own way to explain that whatever is been said, because prayoga anusaranaha bhayakar. If it is a prayoga, it must be correct. It is only grammarian who explains that whatever people say are correct. Whatever way the language is used are correct, grammatical. That is called sadhu. What is sadhu? That is grammatical. What is grammatical? What is rule-based. People do not speak arbitrarily, just like that. Human brain is not just like, it is a system. It has logic. This is the proof. How he has divided the whole time, the whole expressions into 10 divisions, and how these 10 divisions, as again explained, each division of time is explained by him, sutra, by definition, Vartamane Lat. Paroksha Lit. Paroksha means which you, Pratyaksha is which you see directly. Paroksha, which you have not seen. See, Rama was the king of Ajodhya. Have you seen it? But we say no, he became the king, returning from Vanavas. So when you say he became the king, Ramchandra, when? We have never seen. It is beyond our Pratyaksha, it is Paroksha. So past is there, which is beyond our perception, but still there is a past. That is distinguished from the past, what we know today, or what we know yesterday, what happened. But something happened also beyond our knowledge, perception, that is Paroksha. And to express that meaning, Paroksha, we get Lit Lakara, Parokshe, which we have never seen, but you know it is a fact. So for that, the form you get is Babhuba. See the same root, same suffix. How you get Babhuba? So we say the Ramaha, Ramchandra, Ajodhya, Radha, Babhuba. Babhuba means long, long ago, not today, not yesterday. It is Paroksha. To understand the meaning of Paroksha, he gives you the name is Lit Lakara. Lit. Paroksha Lit. And if it is so, what is happening? If you think, look at this, root is here doubled, RR. Root is doubled here. So in the Lit Lakara, the dhatus are doubled. Reduplication takes place. It is, I told, a specific feature of Sanskrit, reduplication. Very few places in Greek, in no other language, has this practice. Babhuba, Jagama, Babhara. So there will be different words in different, each root. When it is used in Lit Lakara, dhatu is duplicated. RR means the same root becomes duplicated. So then same thing suffix, you get Babhuba. How you get Babhuba? So there is a change. T is not seen there. So there is an underlying structure always. Whenever forms are used, and the forms again represent the underlying structure, there is an underlying system. What we see is not the correct. What we do not see is correct. The form has changed, but you have to know how it has changed. Look at this, the job of a grammarian. He has not simply given you the form, forma used by people, no? Bhavati is there, Babu. How do you distinguish? How you are going there, this is related. How do you say there is, where there is the, there is not there? People have used, but grammarian has to explain. A perfect grammarian does not bother what people use. He wants to only explain. Even you have used, it must be correct. It must be logical. Man cannot use illogically. Language cannot be used illogically. It is used with always logic. Mind always apply logic. That is our Sabda Bodha. Understanding. Unless only we are not able to correlate or say. So that's why you should think before you talk. They say no. So like that, you first think. What do you think? What is right? What is wrong? Logic. So this, look at these forms that he is giving you. How many ways the forms have changed? Same singular. First person singular, the suffix. With the, how many changes takes place? Accordingly, all the pratyas also will be changed. So here you get reduplication. Suffix is lopa. Now if you see this third category, you get root is there. Thing is in between. There is one more suffix is added here. Tas. Tasi, he says. Actually, it is tasi. Thing. So that's why you get bhavita. Again, T is lopa, ta is added in the lut lakar. How do you know the forms lakaras? From the change of the forms itself, we can very well understand, and it will go with any root, not only one this root. As I told, grahita, bhavita, patita. So any ta comes represent lut lakara. What is the meaning of lut? He says anadyatane lut. Adyatana means today, present. Na adyatana, anadyatana, which is not today, which is going to be in future. In future, when we do not know. So anadyatane lut. Then you get this here, you get bhavishyati. So bhavati and bhavishyati, difference is past and present. The form is changed, only sya is added. Wherever there is sya, it represents future. It is a mark of future. This is bhavishyati, gamishyati, patishyati. Sya means future. Root lakara. See, this is a late lakara. This we do not use in classical Sanskrit. This is only Vedic. So I am not going to take it. Late lakara. Okay? Yes, please.
Sir, what is the difference between bhavita and bhavishyati?
Yes. So bhavita, it is a remote future which is not known to. When you see the son of a king, when he is going to become king, we do not know. But his kingship is assured. See, who is the inheritor? It is not necessarily he is going to take today when father is alive. Even after father's death, he is going to accept it. No. Nobody else can take it. Father's property can be only acquired by his own offspring. But time is not known to us when he is going to take. After a father's death, only know.
So if Rama were,
yes?
So if Rama were have to say that I am going to become king of Ayodhya, he would have
exactly
used
bhavita. Yes,
okay.
Yes. Bhavita.
Instead of bhavishyati.
Pardon?
Instead of bhavishyati, he would say bhavita.
Bhavita, that's all. In singular. Third person singular.
Yeah.
You can also use in first person when you say aham. So, bhavita, bhavitarahu, bhavitaraha, bhavitasi, bhavitasta, bhavitasmi. Aham. Bhavitasmi, bhavitaswaha, bhavita. So, the forms are there. In each lakara, the 9 forms are there, no?
Yeah.
They represent 3 person, 3 numbers. So, only in this meaning is same, only form will be added. If it bhavita, it is you or he. If it bhavitasmi, I will become the inheritor. I am the inheritor, you will say. English is using auxiliaries, may, might, rule. We don't have any auxiliary. It is all suffix, tells you everything. It is the lakara suffixes, tells you the whole meaning. will, shall, should, might, may, might, all these auxiliary formations. We do not have long structure. It is only pratyaya makes you all senses. Pratyate anena. Everything understood with one suffix. Only suffix undergo change, you get the meaning change. You need not say may go, might go, will not go, or would do, would, shall, should, could do. All these are not there in Sanskrit, in our languages. The suffix alone is important. That is why inflection, that is the importance of inflection. It is the inflectional suffix that takes care of the sentence structure, sentence meanings. Yes?
Just one more question. So this next to these lut, lit, lut, etc., you have sap, tin, tin, tasi, tin. Are these pratyayas or are these explanations?
Tin is the inflectional suffix. That is the final one, which represent person and number. Okay?
Right.
Now, in between, these are the suffixes. These are called agamas, infixes. It comes in between to indicate the difference in the form. Suppose bhavishyati, shya is added only in the root lakara. Same root, bhu, ti remains constant. If we add a, it is present. If we add, suppose I duplicate the root, it becomes lit. So that is remote past. A remote past exactly. Then if you task, it is the first future. If it is here, it is the second future. How do you know this first future? From these agamas. These are the indicators.
Okay.
Tas and share indicates it is first future and second future. T remains same, person number remains same. Okay? But the difference in the, what do you call this, future and things, so these separate agamas, infixes, are used to indicate the difference in the, suppose you will say future 2, how do you know? The suffix, no? So you add 2 suffix that is added to indicate you. So bhavishyati, you get root secho, you get shya agama, shatasi lu lutoho, sutra is there. When you will come, I will show you one form once. So shatasi lu lutoho, shya and tas are used the ru and lut lakara. We will come to, I will show you that also. Sutras are there. Okay. So similarly, so you get this. Now bhavati, as I am ignoring because it is only Vedic. Now lot, you get bhavatu. This is imperative. That is, you know, no? Imperative means vidhi, nimantrana. What is a do this? You can also say that evam bhavatu. Let it happen like this. You can say bhava. When you say Madhyam Purusa Ekavachana is bhava, bhavatu, bhavatam, bhavantu, bhava, bhavatam, bhavata. If you look at the table, so bhava is Madhyam Purusa Ekavachana. You say no, Ayushman bhava. We are saying no, bhava means is this lot lakara. Lot lakara, Madhyam Purusa Ekavachana. You. If you are he, saha bhavatu, tuang bhava, Ayushman bhava, gruham gacha, sanskritam patha, vyakaranam patha. Patha means read. This is imperative. We call it order. It can be order, it can be request, it can be command, whatever way we understand. That is aspect, mood, no? Or aspect. So whenever you use bhavat, so each set gives you 3 forms each, 9 forms. So we are taking only one to indicate what is happening in lot. The T become 2. So E become, T become 2 or E becomes U. One has to think. When you make a rule, how you are going to make a rule? Whether T becomes 2 or E becomes U is a question. So how Panini solve this? I'll show you when we come to the forms. Look at this. Now, when you come to Ngiti, I told now. So we have 6 Tit Lakara and 4 Git Lakara. So Lang, here it is 1. It is in Git Lakara. Vakara law is common. One is added only to distinguish a form. So what is happening in Git Lakara? Look at this abhavat. Same bhavat, same root, same suffix. What the form is here? Abhavat. What has happened here? If you look at this all in Git Lakaras, the common is there is a Ikara Lopa. Abhavat, Bhavit, Bhuyat, Abhut, Abhavishyat. So abhavat, it is the past, that is anadyatane long, that happened yesterday. We can talk. This is what we know. The past we know is abhavat. Now what bhava remains, O is added, E is dropped. Two changes. One is O is added, so Ikara is Lopa. So you need how will rules? For all Gita Lakara, you need one rule, at least that Ikara Lopa. How you will describe it? How you will describe it? In all the Gita Lakaras, E is Lopa. How you will describe it? Can anybody? How to make a rule? We are seeing all the Gita Lakaras, Ikara Lopa. How can we make a rule? We are more trained, no? With mathematics, engineering, management, grammar, linguistics, so many things. Chomsky writes rules, no? How you follow? How to make a rule? See now, here it is very much clear now. Gita Lakaras, Ikara Lopa. He has already told you Gita Lakara is there. Gita, he has made already long rule. Why it is in Gita Lakara? What is the purpose? So form changes, the Ikara Lopa is the first criteria. First, you can see that. So whenever the forms are used, in some forms, the Ikara is Lopa. So there is, Lopa is found only in these four. So he has made his Git to indicate. It is an indicator, no? Git Lakara. Git, Okara, It. By using Okara, he said, Gitascha, Git Lakarasya, Ikara Lopaha. So previously there is a Lopa rule. So he'll simply say, Nityam Gitaha. Nitya means mandatory, regular. In all the Gita Lakaras, Ikara Lopa. Nityam Gitaha. Gitaha means Gita Lakarasya. That is the meaning. Git is he has used one. Gitaha means Gita Lakarasya. It is used in Sashti. Gitaha. Okara it, Gitaha, Gita Lakarasya. Nityam Lopaha. Nityam means regularly, always. Nityam Gitaha, Sutra will tell you that all the Gita Lakaras, Ikara Lopa. Simple, Sutra. Wherever you use in all 2000 roots, you will get only 4 Gita Lakara, no? So all the 4 Gita Lakaras, you get Ikara Lopa. There is no where T is remaining, only E is dropped. Now, another feature is, so if among this Git, you have Okara is added, but not in all the Git. So how to make a rule? Because here Nityam Gita will say all Gita Lakaras, Ikara is Lopa. But in Ot Agama, Ot is an Agama here. It is not actually prefix. It is actually, though we say it is prefix, in Sanskrit, prefix is misunderstood and misinterpreted. Prefix in English means only what is used before. But for us, Sanskrit, Panini used the word Upasarga. Here this is not a Upasarga. Upasarga comes before the root. Upasargaha kriya yoge. So gacchati, anugacchati. Smarati, anusmarati. Anu is a Upasarga. It gives the meaning of, it added the meaning with the verb. Gacchati means following, going. Anugacchati means following. From that you get anugami. Anusharati means following. But here Ot is not a prefix. It is actually an agama. Agama in Sanskrit, Panini's grammar. Agama means, Pandit doesn't use the word agama, but he says agama means which comes in between or it comes in the beginning to mark the difference only. It is a formal difference. It does not change the meaning. So A is a agama in 3 lakaras. That's why here we cannot say Gitaha At Agama. At Agama. At he says Agama. Now when he says At Agama, why? So they have come in the beginning. So there is also that while come that you have to know this when these anubandhas, these giti, titi, they are used. Kiti, niti, all I had told in the beginning only, but we'll try to apply and we'll see that also when the verb is derived, I mean conjugated. I'll show you. So here this akara, when it is used in the beginning, how to know where it is used? Beginning or after also or in the middle. So when you use this infixes or suffixes to be used or prefixes, whether to be used in the beginning or end, Pandit does not use the word saying that you should wait before or after to indicate the placement. He has used the word takara, ta, tit. He said, oh, is not agama, it is at agama. At. At means it comes, tit means it comes before always. Tit means if it is at, it is before the verbal root. So tit means before. Before the root or suffix, whichever is condition. Say, look at this. Bhavita, bhavishyati. In bhavati there is no ikara. But in bhavita and bhavishyati there is ikara. Why? Because they are coming for the suffix ta and sya. That also we'll see again. See, he is coming before ta and before sya, not after. So there the agama is called iti agama. Iti. He has used the word ardhagasya, it baladeha. There is a sutra, I will be explaining, but I am just showing first division now, differences. Each one is accounted. Each one is explained. Why E there? Why not E everywhere? That also will show that how the suffixes, when they are used, what kind of change, what kind of rules are followed. So there you get this. So you get only in 3 places. That's why it is taken the name 3. So in the long, loom, and room. Long, loom, room. Only 3 take atagama. You cannot say gitaha atagama. Nityam gitaha can tell you that ikara lopa for all. But when it is restricted, so it is only counted. Long, loom, and room only take a adagama, not all the git lakaras. So when it is all, you put in the name of giti, and when it is restricted or limited, so the limited noun or limited elements are only put in the sutra. So 2 types of sutra, sometimes general and sometimes restricted, because where there is a common, you add it, and when we are not common, then you just pick where it comes. So we'll be seeing that also. Okay, now, so look at this. So everywhere, again, long, you have at or atagama. At comes if the, again here, you have a, atagama, where it comes, you will come to this. Those dhatus which begins with vowel ajadi. If it is ajadi, the root which comes or begins with vowels, atagam, atati. Atati means brajati, he is going, moving. So if it is, what do you call that? If it is Gitlakara, it will become At. So we'll be seeing one by one. So then you can see that option here, Bhavet. How you get Bhavet? Here Ekara is coming. Bhuyat, actually it is Asiling. Asiling means benediction. Asirvachana. For example, say Satang Jivet, you live 100 years. Subham Bhuyat, let there be auspicious or prosper, let there be prosperity. So Bhuyat, Bhavet, Bhavet is always used in the Vidhi Nimantrana. And Bhuyat, so there are 2 ling, Vidhiling and Asiling. So though let is taken out from the classical, but ling is divided into 2, so that's why you get the lakaras. And in that we get Bhuyat. And Abhut, again we get the lung lakara, as I told you, the past. It's a simple past. What happened just recently. And Abhavishyat is conditional. That is, we have a conditional mood. If it happens, suppose say, we say no, if it rains good rain, then you get good crops. If you read well, you will get good marks. The conditionals. Would is used, and for that we use the word abhavishyat. So we have if sustu varsa vrishti bhavati chet. Chet means conditional. Sustu bhiksha abhavishyat. You will get good alms or good crops. Abhavishyat. So abhavishyat is always conditional based on another root. That is, if it is chet, bhavati chet. If it happens, then only you will get conditional. For that, we use the same root, undergo change 10 times to convey or to communicate the meaning differences in the language. We do not add any auxiliary, we do not add any word, any adjectives or adverbs. It is only verbal suffix and the root. They undergo change and they tell all the meaning differences in 2000 roots in all the activities. So whatever texts have been written in Sanskrit, they are always written in all these forms. So any text we read, you will find the verbal forms of these types only, not more. If you know these are the basic, this is the finite set for the verbal conjugations for one root. So all other roots, the infinity forms, are understood by these divisions only. This way, this lakara is important for him. Look at this. This lakara includes, yes?
So sorry, I am just looking at lung and lung,
Yeah.
and I forgot the difference.
I think
There's
meaning
no
is
past.
given. Yeah, that is given again. You please check it. I had given you with English meaning. One more table is there. Today we sent
That first prit,
Okay.
right?
Now, long is, preterite is actually the past. So, long means that happened yesterday, we can say, yeah, yes. Yeah, you can see. The long, if you see this, it is only past preterite or past, we call sometimes imperfect. What happened yesterday, day before yesterday, we use generally. But abhut loom comes only what happened just now, it happened. Abhut can be used for the very recent past or even
Okay.
today also.
Okay.
Abhavat can be used in a long, within our knowledge. Whereas Babhuva, the lit lakara, is beyond our perception.
Okay. Got it.
The knowledge, the tense, the past is seen in three phases, in three categories. One is which you have never seen, that's why it is paraksha. Beyond our knowledge, we have not seen it. And what we have seen throughout our life, we can say no. Yeah, oh, that happened that day, 2 days before, or say 1 year before, or 10 years before. But when you come to abhut, it can be restricted to only time that is just recent. Very recent, very recent. So past can be, because today morning something happened also, you can refer, no? That is different what happened day before yesterday. So the past represents three aspects of past, the time. That is the past tense, the remote, you can have this past that is within your knowledge, and past that is just momentary, just happened now. So that is the difference, that way the forms are used to indicate that there are three different pasts and forms have been changed. Forms are used differently. There it is Babhuva, one place it is Abhavat, another place it is Abhut. Okay, so like that, the difference is shown. It is only when we go to the text, we'll get from the context, we'll get the meaning differences. But just to have a knowledge, yeah. Why? When you get Abhavat, Abhuva, how you make difference? When you interpret, then this is very important to know. For interpretation, it is important to that he had become. He was like that. And now just what is happening also, we can. So when you translate or interpret, it becomes a problem. How to write, how to translate in English is always difficult because of our division of time is something so, specific that you do not have separate word. Only suffix tells us everything. Verbal forms only changes. No addition of anything. There is no adjective, no adverb, nothing is there. So that is how it is marked through the inflection. So the suffixes only indicate everything to us. That's why they are called pratyaya, pratiyate. Everything is there. The pratyayas undergo change. The root undergo change. So within this, so that is sandhi. So all sandhis that we get, we'll find out and we'll see that the division of time. This is, once we know these 10 lakaras, we don't need to learn all the verbal forms. All 2000 roots will be at your fingertip. You will get each word get interpreted or meaning will be understood if we know the verbal forms. How 10 lakaras, how the forms have been distinguished. Bhavati, Babhuva, Bhavita, Bhavishyati, okay, Bhavet, Bhavatu, all that we are getting. If you take one set at least, this is how you are going to see how computer makes it easy. You will tell you all the rules, all these lakaras, all the formations. This is the basic lakara. Just imagine the use of the word law. Law means what? Yes, next you please just show. I will just tell it. Next is please. Next. Just look at this. This will take up, important. What is law? Why? Why here use the law? Why these 90 forms? Why not more? Why not less? When they are used? It is just for time or something else. There is something more. You are taking only verbal form. How we are using sentence? How they are used in the sentences? When they are used? In anywhere we like? So they are also restricted. When you use them, there is a specific condition. So nothing can be used without a condition. When you are going to use them, what does law means? Simply what he is not giving. He is not simply giving you a term. He is describing each like technical term. He said lot, etc. with your takara, onkara. Here he is using the word. How do you know it is law? Here he is with sutra, second sutra you see, laha. Law means lakarasya. What is the law means? Law means what? How it is used? Why it is used? Now beyond these forms, you have something. Beyond these forms, there is something which makes these forms possible. Grammatical. What is that? That is the sentence. So sentence is always at the top. It is the frame. What is that sentence? How it is used? So this sentence represents only 3 meanings. Karta, karma and bhava. Without this, you cannot use a single word. Which is first, word or sentence? Whose meaning is important? Without this, that's why he given Kartarik rule, then laha karmani bhave. Laha means karta, karma, bhava. The sentence meanings, 3 meanings, have been put in one term, that is law. We understand law is time, but law means it is not mere time, but also the action that takes place. That we will take next. We'll see. Just have a look. Know these forms. See these lakaras. Any difference you get, we'll have questions next year. I will explain this because this is the basic. Why law? How many sentences we produce? We generate. We do not know. But Panini can tell you, you have only 3 sentences. Active, passive or impersonal passive, we call it bhava. We'll see, I will explain that. We'll take up in the next class. This is very important, that what syntax means for Panini. And why I am telling this, if you remember, Bloomfield, when he wrote his first article in 1929, also. So he said that Panini's grammar is only talking of word structure. He said it is a taxonomy grammar, not syntactic. There is no concept of Vakya in Panini. But in only when he wrote the book, 1933 language, he changed his mind. No, it is not only word. It also sentence is important first. Sentence meaning. Karta, karma and bhava, active, passive is not the meaning of a word. It is the meaning of sentence. And unless these meanings are there, no word can be used. So we'll see next class. Let us see. Just have a look at the 10 lakaras, the divisions. Any doubt, you will be asking. So now you can have any question, please. Any question, we will now take it. Yes. For 5 minutes, 1 or 2 questions. Yes, please tell me. Always look at finite set, descriptive adequacy, explanatory adequacy. Can you change one rule? Can you change one word in one rule? That is important. What is the rule? Why Pani's rule are not changed? Why we cannot? It is open. See these adequacies always, what Chomsky always emphasizes. Finite goes to infinite. What is generative? With one, you get many. With a finite set, you get infinite. One Sutra Laha Karmani tells you all the verbal forms used in Sanskrit language, in all tenses, are used only in 3 meanings. You have only 3 types of sentences. That marked by 2 suffixes. Thing. Ti or te. All verbal forms. Any sentence it is used, you get only these 3, not more than that, nor less than that. So thing represents the formal appearance of this law. That's why thing are called, see the next sutra, Lasya means what? One word sutra, Panini can make. Lasya means all those things, 3, 4, 79, Kilo Ishi, Tiptasji, 3, 4, 79, 78. These are only replaced by law, in the place of law. They are used in the place of law, means how that meaning comes, I will explain in the next class. This is very crucial. That is the key. Here, whole sentence structure, all the word formations are conditioned, are explained by these 2 rules. Just like for nouns, we had Arthamata Dhatu Pratipadika, Krutaita Samasascha. These 2 rules will tell you the all sentences we use are grammatically correct by these 2 rules in any language, not for Sanskrit alone. You will see that how much this rule is applicable to any language, including English also. We will discuss it in the next slide. So any question, any other question? Or it is a question of working, how does it apply? See this finite, infinite, always remember what are possible. See, that's why I say, what is a grammar? Which gives you a possible sentences. All and only possible. We are giving the sutras only for all and only possible sentences, the forms used in the language, in Sanskrit. So vast, we say so big, so complicated. But how it is possible to explain in one rule, also possible. But it is a model where you can change it. You say X, you can say Y, it is up to you. He has used one la. So it is the law of the language. Law also stands for English law of the language. For us, it is time, law. Panini has used the word only law. Whether it is called time, whether it is called syntax, whether it is a word formation, whatever words used in linguistics are absorbed in one word, law. Once you know this law, you can get all forms grammatically correct and explained. All the rules he has made, 4,000 rules, are only possible because of this law. The law will extend everything and compact also comprehensive. So one word, eka shabda, samyak gyata, suprayukta, swarge loke kamadhuk bhavati. So this is only one law that we will see in the next class. Okay? Anything? Hope for today it is okay. Now let us see for the next. What is that eka sabda? What is this law? Law plays an important role in the whole formation or structure of the language. How Panini has done that. That means. Okay. See you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
धन्यवाद आचार्य.